Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Now, in her first broadcast interview to discuss the company's financial performance, Chief Executive Officer of TSTT, Lisa Agard, joins us to discuss the positive financial performance of the company despite the tremendous transformation it has undergone in the past few years. Ms. Agard will also share more about the company's strategic direction, investments and improvements in technology, and also its commitment to digital transformation of TNT. And so Ms. Agard joins us this morning.
Good morning, Kimberly.
Good morning, Ms. Agard. Thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you so much for having me back, and good morning to your viewers and listeners.
Now, this is a very touchy subject because I know that TSTT would have recorded a profit at the end of the financial year, but of course we had the restructuring happening with all that. But I want to start in terms of the turnaround for TSTT. You recorded a profit recently. Tell us some of the things that would have contributed to that.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. We've come through a very difficult period of time in TSTT's history, and in fact, a tumultuous time for the telecommunications industry generally, and I'll get into that a little bit later. And of course, we are also dealing with the lingering impact of the global pandemic. But notwithstanding these challenges, we were able to report a profit before tax of $118 million for the financial year ended 31st of March 2023, and a profit after tax of $93 million. And an adjusted EBITDA performance of $841 million. Now, we have not experienced that kind of EBITDA performance since 2009. And that is typically a very important indicator in the telecoms industry because it determines your ability to continue to invest in your network and to generate positive cash flow.
Yeah.
So, it's the first time since 2017, the first time in 5 years, that we were able to post a profit before tax, and so we're very proud of that accomplishment.
Yeah.
Now, we did a number of things to treat with the volatile situation we found ourselves in. When I became acting CEO in September 2020 and finally confirmed in May 2021, one of the first things that, of course, I looked at was our audited financial statements. And there was what we call a going concern note, or what is known in the industry as a material uncertainty note included in our financial statements. And what that means in sort of layman's terms is that the external auditors are pointing to some underlying vulnerability of the company and indicating that there may be some challenge to the company's ability to continue operations. I'm happy to report that given the financial performance of the company this year and the outlook for the company's performance in the near future, that material uncertainty note has also been removed from our financial statements. Yeah. So we did a number of things. We looked at cost management and cost containment, and that does not only include staff costs, it includes other operational expenses. And by renegotiating with all our vendors and suppliers, looking rigorously at where we spend our money in maintenance activities, etc., we were able to take out $160 million on an annualized basis from our operating expenses.
I want to just put a pin in that only because, Ms. Agard, I have to ask you about the elephant in the room, the restructuring exercise. The unions have been very vocal about the decision TSTT made to, for want of a better word, retrench some of the workers. Did you see this restructuring necessary, or did it contribute in any way to the profit that you're recording now?
Sure. So the restructuring exercise that we undertook and which concluded in July last year was an absolutely critical thing for us to do. Literally, if we did not implement the restructuring, we probably would have been audited on a liquidation basis. In short, TSTT would have had to close its doors, and there's no simpler way putting it than that. And I want to talk a little bit about why the restructuring was necessary, because of course, you know, you hear one side of the story, and we were not able during the course of the restructuring to really tell the country what was happening on advice from our council that you negotiate and you consult with the union on restructuring across the table and not in the public domain. So during that time, we were not able to get our message out there. But let me tell you why the restructuring was important. And it's against a global backdrop of a declining telecommunications industry, and an industry that is in crisis, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but also in the rest of the Caribbean and indeed the rest of the world. And why do I say that? That's because of the impact of what we call over-the-top operators, right? Let me use Trinidad and Tobago as a case study as far as that is concerned. So in Trinidad and Tobago, we have seen a 74% decline in fixed voice calling. We have seen a 21% decline in mobile voice calling because of OTT operators like WhatsApp, etc. That's between 2017 and 2021. And then we've seen a complete decimation of international incoming revenue and international outgoing revenue. Mm-hmm. Those minutes into Trinidad and Tobago and out of Trinidad and Tobago have declined by over 80% since 2009. And against that backdrop, as you can imagine, there's going to be a concomitant decline in revenue. So I give an example. On the switched voice calling on the mobile side, the industry as a whole in Trinidad and Tobago experienced a $600 million decline in revenue from 2017 to 2021. And those are not my statistics. Those are statistics coming from the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. So against that backdrop of significantly declining switched voice revenue, and the fact that we have the 6 big tech companies in the world, Meta, Google, Netflix, TikTok, etc. Mm-hmm. We commissioned a study by Axon Consulting for all the operators in the entire Caribbean region. And coming out of that study, Axon determined that 67% of our network resources, 67%, are being utilized by these 6 big tech companies, and they make zero contribution to our network
quick
investment.
Question. Because of all that was happening in the telecom industry, is it that's why you were saying you had to restructure the company and let go some of the workers?
Absolutely, because it had an impact on our revenue base. So between 2020 and 2021, we experienced a $418 million decline in revenue. When you have those headwinds that are impacting your revenue so significantly, and you have OTT operators utilizing your network, and by the way, Caribbean operators are investing something like $500 million US per annum just to meet the insatiable data demands of its customers, right? So you have a situation where there's an insatiable demand for data coming from our customers. The more you invest in these networks, the more they're being utilized by big tech companies. And oh, by the way, it's not as if they're not making money. We estimate that in 2022, big tech companies have generated almost $5 billion US from the Caribbean. They employ nobody, they pay no taxes, they pay no concession fees, they pay no license fees, and they make zero contribution into the Universal Service Fund. That model is not a sustainable model.
Let's go back to the restructuring again, because I also want to focus on Amplia, because the company would have had to restructure, they would have had to retrench, but then Amplia came along. And so tell us about the importance of Amplia, because again, people are questioning the reason for that company.
So Amplia was acquired in 2017. It used to be Massey Communications. It subsequently changed its name to Amplia Communications. And it is the fiber arm of TSTT's business, primarily aimed at residential customers. So the serving strategy is one of fiber deployment for residential customers, and that company provides voice, internet, TV, and some security solutions for customers.
Yeah.
Now, I want to put Amplia's contribution to TSTT's performance into some realistic perspective. For the last financial year just concluded, Amplia contributed a mere 10% of TSTT's overall revenue. So TSTT's overall revenue was $1.8 billion. Amplia contributed approximately $186 million to that overall financial performance. So it is a very small part of TSTT's operations, albeit a significant part, because it serves a residential base by the most resilient technology in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So I want to set aside any concerns that people may have in relation to the significance of Amplia to TSTT's overall financial performance.
Ms. Agard, let's look at the future of TSTT. So you have recorded this profit for the financial year ended March 2023, but we have some players coming up in the industry. For example, Blue Network recently launched. Forget all the controversy that surrounded them, but we have new networks that's coming into the business. How is B-Mobile expected to stay competitive when we have some new technology companies moving in?
Sure. Well, Blue Network is not a new player in the marketplace. The two new licensed operators are Starlink and Neptune Communications.
Right.
So Trinidad and Tobago is a very hyper-competitive market. There are, we think, 7 international operators, 12 fixed operators providing internet, and with Starlink and Neptune, that will be 9. Mm-hmm. And of course, 2 mobile operators and 7 fixed operators. Now, collectively, what the investment from all of these operators has meant for Trinidad and Tobago is a very significant thing. We happen to enjoy in the Caribbean among the highest broadband penetration anywhere in the Caribbean. So if you look at on the fixed internet side, 93% of the households in Trinidad and Tobago have a fixed internet connection. And on the mobile side, of the 2 billion subscribers, so we have a penetration of 150-something%, and of those, approximately 780,000 have a broadband connection. So both on the mobile side as well as on the fixed internet side, we have huge broadband penetration. Yeah. And TAT did a digital divide survey last year, in which it estimated that 99.5% of the households in Trinidad and Tobago have an internet connection passing the household. So there is a little lag between access and actual uptake, which may speak to an affordability issue. We are not sure.
Yeah.
But the collective investments of all of the operators in Trinidad and Tobago has placed us in a very unique position compared to many other countries in the Caribbean, where we have a robust broadband infrastructure upon which to build on digital transformation. And in fact, we've changed the vision of our company to be, we will take the lead in the digital transformation of Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean by sustainably expanding our reach and continuously innovating our products and services, because we want to build on that massive investment of over $10 billion, which we have made since 2006. Yeah. So we're very excited about the future. So in January, we got the board to approve a 3-year strategic plan, and we're going to be focusing on 6 major pillars pursuant to that approved strategic plan.
Ms. Giga, we are out of time, unfortunately, but just give me two quick ones, two of the pillars.
So we're going to be investing in fiber expansion.
Right.
We're going to roll out 34,000 additional homes with fiber connectivity in the next 2 years. And we're also going to be investing significantly in making our mobile network reach more Trinidadians with the most innovative technology and faster download speeds.
And I'm going to pause right there because we're out of time.
Yes.
I know we only scratched the surface, but I'd love to
indeed.
have you back again so we can continue the conversation. But for now, thank you so much. All the best to the company on recording that financial statement, and we look forward to see what the next financial year holds. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kimberly.
And of course, that was the CEO of TSTT, Ms. Lisa Agar, just giving us an update on the company's financial performance for the period ending March 2023, and of course, the company's digital transformation efforts in TNT. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.